Once upon a time, 500 monks were gathered at the foot of a majestic mountain, its peak piercing the cloudy sky like the aspirations of the most determined soul. They had all come seeking wisdom from an esteemed master who lived atop the mountain. The air was filled with anticipation, and the atmosphere crackled with the energy of hope. Each monk harbored within them an eagerness to learn and grow, believing that the master held secrets that could change their lives forever. The master, a wise old man with a radiance that seemed to illuminate even the darkest corners of the valley, stood at a high point, surveying the monks before him. His eyes were deep pools of knowledge, reflecting the countless lessons learned over years of meditation and solitude. Without a word, he raised his hand and beckoned the monks to begin their ascent. With one heart and one mind, the monks started their journey up the mountain. The path was steep and winding, lined with stones and roots that demanded their attention and respect. Struggles arose, and some monks faltered, their strength dwindling. But others encouraged their companions, reminding them of the purpose of their journey, the quest for enlightenment. As they climbed higher, the air grew cooler and the view more stunning, revealing the lush valleys below. Yet, the monks remained focused, hearts beating in synchrony with the rhythm of their breaths. Eventually, they reached the peak, where they were met by a breathtaking river glistening in the sunlight. Its waters danced with life, a blue ribbon stretching far and wide. However, there was no bridge or boat to provide passage across. The monks stood there, momentarily stunned, unsure of what to do next. The master, standing nearby, observed their bewilderment with a placid gaze. To receive wisdom, you must first find a way to cross the river, he instructed, his voice calm but firm. The challenge hung in the air like a ripe fruit, waiting to be plucked. As the monks pondered their next move, silence enveloped them. One monk, named Jiro, stepped forward. A glimmer of determination ignited in his eyes. "Master," he said, "I will swim across." He immediately began to shed his robes, readying himself for the plunge. The group watched, some in admiration and others in concern. With a deep breath, Jiro leaped into the river. The water enveloped him, cold and rushing. For a moment, he fought against the current with all his strength, but he quickly realized the river's ferocity and struggled to prevail. After a few desperate strokes, he was swept downstream, forced to retreat and scramble back to the bank, panting and exhausted. The other monks exchanged glances, their confidence shaken. An elder monk named Kinji spoke up after Jiro's unsuccessful attempt. "Perhaps we should build a raft," he suggested, his voice steady like the earth beneath their feet. The group rallied around Kinji, gathering fallen branches and sturdy vines to create a makeshift raft. They worked tirelessly, inspired by the camaraderie that blossomed among them. As they finished, Kinji tested the raft's stability. With a steady resolve, he climbed aboard and set off into the river. The monks cheered, filled with hope that Kinji might succeed. However, much like Jiro, he encountered the chaotic waves and was soon capsized, plunging into the icy waters and retreating to the shore, victorious only in spirit. The atmosphere grew tense. Some monks murmured doubts and others explored hopelessness. They felt discouraged. Just as darkness began to weave through their spirits, a shy monk named Riku, who had remained quiet throughout the challenges, raised his hand. "I have an idea," he said, his voice soft, but the sincerity was unmistakable. Curiously, the group turned toward Riku, his introverted nature surprising everyone. They had almost forgotten he was with them. He approached the riverbank, kneeling to study the flowing water. "What if instead of trying to cross all at once, we use the resources available?" he offered, observing the lush vegetation that lined the riverbank. Using his keen observation, Riku proposed they explore the possibility of gathering various materials along the riverside. By creating small floating devices out of plants, twigs, and workload from their surroundings, they could use these makeshift crafts to ferry themselves across the river slowly. Skepticism lingered in the minds of many, yet a sense of curiosity ignited as well. They realized Riku's idea had merit and began gathering materials under his guidance. He encouraged them, nurturing collaboration and fostering a deeper sense of unity. As the monks worked together, laughter echoed softly above the rush of the river. What began as a mere concept transformed into a collective mission. They crafted numerous small boats, each reflecting the spirit of those who had worked to create them. With every launch onto the river, they slowly transported their brothers across, from one side to another. They worked one by one until eventually, all 500 monks crossed the river together, smiling in triumph. Upon reaching the other side, they stood beneath the vastness of the sky, a new understanding dawning upon them. The master awaited their arrival with an approving smile. "What have you learned?" he inquired. One by one, the monks shared their insights. Jiro reflected, "While strength is important, alone it may not suffice." Kenji added, "Collaboration can yield results that individual effort fails to achieve." But it was Riku who spoke last, breaking the silence that hung like a gentle cloud. "It isn't just about the river or the crossing. It is about understanding our limitations and finding strength in unity and creativity. Each of us has an important role to play." The master nodded, a look of satisfaction gracing his features. "Indeed," he replied, "enlightenment is not a destination but an ongoing journey. Together, you have discovered that obstacles can be conquered not through brute force or singular vision, but through collaboration and innovation." From that day on, the monks left a bit of their egos at the riverbank, wiser and newly enlightened. They returned to their various temples, hearts warmed and spirits lifted, carrying with them a profound lesson that transcended the challenge of crossing the river. Let this story remind you that self-improvement and enlightenment often find their roots in acknowledgement of our vulnerabilities, extending our arms to network and collaborate. We are all capable of greatness, but it often requires the wisdom of many to navigate life's turbulent rivers together. Embrace your journey, collectively, authentically, and tirelessly. The beauty of wisdom belongs not only to the individual but is a shared experience, enriching the tapestry of existence in ways that elevate all.